Well, let's talk now about this case from Piauí, from Barras, because that's what's being talked about right now. What happened to television, a Grande Barras? A journalist went to the place, called there by a resident, and this resident gathered some other people who had also seen these lights and were frightened. There in Barras, in Piauí, which is deep in the countryside of Piauí, well, then a report was made. I think we can even show a little bit of it. A segment that many people have already seen, these images from the interview, but this one here, you can play it with audio. You can play it with audio. I'll play the audio here.
At the very least, it's very curious. A light has appeared, and this light, it's been following people. It's not an object that flies, it stops or moves as needed. Well, I was contacted by this lady. Everything's fine here. Everything's fine. What's your name?
Conceição.
Conchicao. Why did you bring the Portal Grande Barras team here?
I called the Portal Grande Barras team because this has been scaring people a lot, right? I called with the hope that we could reach a specialist and bring someone to help us to solve this mystery, right? Because this isn't normal. This has been happening already. It happened 3 years ago with a guy here, and he didn't have the courage to film it because there wasn't time either, right?
What happened 3 years ago with this guy?
3 years ago, was it that same light, that same thing that comes here and chased after my sister-in-law, right? Is that it? It chased after him too, this guy named Mile. He lives here in Capitão de Campo, right? He couldn't come today, but that same light dropped him off at home. When he got home, it kept circling above his house. It's a very strange thing that nobody can really explain what it is.
We talked to Lorem, we talked to Mrs. Francisca, and you'll see their statements. But there was also another case recently with the young man.
Another case happened the day before yesterday, recently, with a young man named Junior from Malhada de Pedra. He couldn't come here today either because he was very traumatized, because it's something really terrifying, right?
The appearances of this light, this unidentified flying object, it's always in the same place.
Always in the same place right there, close to our house, right? It's at the Stone Waterfall.
Always at night.
Only seen at night. I've never heard of anyone seeing it during the day. Always at night, around 8:30 and so on, always at night.
And Francisca was one of the eyewitnesses of this phenomenon that's happening here in the area.
I was here at my mother-in-law's. Then we had dinner. We talked for a bit. Then when it was 9 o'clock, we left to go home. Then when we went up, look, there was his...
At night?
That's it. When we climbed the stone jump hill and I looked, I noticed the red star. Then when we turned and entered the little path to go inside, the light followed us straight ahead, farther away. I turned to my sister on the motorcycle and my husband asking what they saw. I said I saw nothing. I just wanted to say something only if I was actually seeing something. Even at the Cerro there too. When we got to a low area, it was already coming down low like this, over the tops of the palm trees, and it was already lighting everything up. My son, I didn't tell him what I was seeing. My son started yelling, "Run, my son, the light is going to get us." Then he ran off into the middle of nowhere, leaving his hat behind, and he said, "No, I'm going back to get my hat." I said, "Let's go, but first let's go to the house, stop there to see if he'll go back and forth, and we'll stay together." When we arrived at the house, everything was closed, everyone was asleep, and the dogs were barking.
That's how it is, just a small part. Afterwards, that journalistic interview continues. There are other witnesses being interviewed too. And the journalist, afterwards, he makes an appeal to ufologists all over Brazil, to anyone who was available to go there and solve this mystery. These apparitions that are happening there and causing fear, right? Since these lights, they chase people during the night. There's even a certain area where they appear more often, and people in that area were being chased. Now, another article came out, right? As I told you, Flavio Tobler, who's an unidentified flying object researcher from Piauí, has been doing this for a long time. I've known him for many years, for decades, and he does field research. He keeps watch. I do too. Talking to him, he said, man, I'm going there now. Friday, I'll stay Saturday, and I'll come back Sunday. And I intend to collect data, right? And also do vigils with the intention of filming these objects and everything else. And there you go. Those are already the images of him at the location. He went to interview people. Let's do this. Play the audio from that video.
Today, we're back at the place where we recorded the first part of the video, where residents reported sightings of UFOs. And this time, we didn't come alone. We came accompanied by the specialist ufologist Flavio Tobler and his team to help the community and, of course, to help all of Brazil better understand what's happening in Barras countryside. I'm here with Professor Flavio Tobler and Professor Luis Antonio, two specialists. The ufologist Flavio already has a huge history, known by all the specialists who follow this field throughout Brazil. Flavio, tell us about it. What motivated you after hearing the reports? What made you come here to the countryside of Barras to follow this situation up close?
That's what motivated me. Besides the reports matching those from other regions, they also, let's say, follow a certain pattern of observation, right? Of these objects, it's the intensity of the manifestation in the region. Everything indicates that we are experiencing a very large, unidentified flying object wave here in Piauí. And unidentified flying object reports have intensified in recent years. And these reports here are similar in various parts of Piauí and also in other parts of Maranhão.
Professor Luis?
But let me just explain something to you, Flavio Tobler. He has already investigated in this region and near this region, even obtaining records of UFOs. So it's a region with a high incidence of unidentified flying object activity. It's already known to him as well, right? But to get to this place, as you saw, there's a dirt road, right? He even says it's a cart driver's road because it's full of potholes, right? So it's actually quite a tough trip, I'd say. And when I called him, right, talking to him now, he even sent me a voice message, right? And he said, man, I'm dying of exhaustion. I've been up for 36 hours, you know. He didn't even sleep because he kept vigil and everything, then came back and he said he was really tired. I told him to get some rest and all since he was going to join, right? This leave to talk a little bit. But when you're tired, your mind starts to fail and everything else. So I said, no, don't worry about it. If you want to talk next Sunday, we'll invite you to the live. Then you can give details because he said he got impressive testimonies there in the region, including details he had never seen before from other witnesses. Right, from Piauí, he found that interesting. And he filmed something during the vigil there, right? He made some recordings and it seems they also used infrared, something like that. So they managed to do it during the vigil. The television crew, right, from Television a Grande Barras, they stayed for a certain amount of time and then left, and they kept doing the vigil at that place. They tried to call one of the witnesses to join them, but she said she was too scared that she wouldn't go to that place. During the night, they were there on vigil, right? So the reporter was interviewing everyone, including his own television crew. Then he went to the researchers there, to Flavio Tobler, to a professor who was there, Professor Luis. And then he started asking about ufological things as well. And they stayed until around midnight when they finally left. You know, they had an appointment and everything. So the television crew left. They didn't see anything. They didn't record anything. But Flavio Tobler's team stayed and later ended up recording something there, right? They recorded some anomalous things, right? So that's how it is from what I talked about with Flavio, right? He's going, they will be analyzing these images more closely and figuring out how they're going to share them, maybe on his channel or even during the live stream. That we'll do next Sunday. And if he comes to talk a little, it's very likely that he'll release the images. Any more details about those vigils that were held there? But what concrete things did he leave for us? That the phenomenon is happening there is interesting. It's related to the unidentified flying object phenomenon, yes. It doesn't really have those characteristics of the Chupa Chupa phenomenon, right? Which was much more aggressive, but in some cases, right? There was contact, right? That people observed. Sometimes they were chased, right? By these lights, they even got closer. Sometimes they move away, get closer, right? So this caused a certain panic, a certain fear among the people there in Piauí de Barras, right? In that region. But all of this isn't really that different from other parts of Piauí, which also have incidents. Okay, there are cases everywhere. And one thing he also mentioned to me is that usually these unidentified flying objects are named by the people there in Piauí. They call it aparelho, right? They always say the aparelho chased this person or thing, right? So that's the name they found within the local culture there in Piauí to call it. These lights, which in Flavio Tobler's view, would be a kind of unidentified flying object probe, right? The people who were there were pretty much inclined to believe that they could be unidentified flying object probes, smaller objects there, which would be doing some kind of surveillance in the region, right? And from time to time, even getting close to the people who live in that area. Well, so Piauí is also having sightings in December. And when they went to do that report the day before, the phenomenon had appeared again. So things are really heating up in Piauí, and I wouldn't be surprised if this spreads to several other places soon, right? And in this case, in Piauí, we can't even say it's Starlink, right? Because the thing was way below the altitude, right in the treetops. Sometimes, so there's no way it could be Starlink, right? Elon Musk's satellite coming down to low altitude. There, just like in other cases we've received, the stories and videos, they're all below the roof, sometimes flying over, and that's definitely not a satellite. Let's see now. So I had told you guys a recording on December 4th, 2025 was made at 11:56 post meridian by Adriano Barros on a farm there in Campinas. The footage was captured using a Galaxy S25 Ultra, right? And it's a video that shows an object with several lights and so on. At first he said, hey, could it be a plane? Something. But then he found the behavior of these lights very strange. And he's used to it, according to Adriano's statement, to seeing planes pass by in that area and everything. And there are some specific routes, right? And this was really weird. So he decided to film it with his Galaxy S25 cell phone, Adriano himself. He also sent me some videos that were made during the day. We're still taking a look at them, right? There are some black objects that appear in the image and, well, they don't have a clear shape, right? It looks like something that might not have a defined shape. And we don't know if it could be an unidentified flying object, if it could be some strange balloon, right? Or maybe some trash bag that's kind of empty and that's why it has a weird shape. We checked for insects. It's not that. Birds either. It doesn't seem to be. So they're objects. You're still reviewing these images during the day, right? With the blue sky and some black objects that showed up there. He sent it to us as well now in December 2025. So things are heating up everywhere in the countryside of Sao Paulo, the coast, Sao Paulo city, several Brazilian states, right? And Curitiba also had people who sent it. Reports from there that the phenomenon was also happening in Curitiba, in Paraná. So that's how it is. My head is full of things right now, you know. A lot of things we're involved in are also developing, and sometimes I might suddenly forget. That's how it is. If you're watching me and you're subscribed, you also sent something. Don't worry, in a future live stream or in another video, we'll be there too. Talking about your case, I haven't forgotten, no. But it's like this, like some cases end up getting more attention, maybe because of the characteristics of the unidentified flying object and everything. So we remember, right? It sticks, but others end up becoming kind of normal, abnormal, right? Because sometimes it's just a light, right? Something making a movement that's not that different. So it could be a unidentified flying object. It could be something else that's explainable. But depending on the context of the story, the place where it happened and everything, sometimes it really ends up being an unidentified flying object. Okay, one or the other we can explain with conventional things, right? But still, don't stop sending them, right? Because suddenly you might be facing an anomalous phenomenon, right? And that helps our work and helps us understand what's happening and where this phenomenon is moving and how it's acting as well, right? Now we notice that, hey, there, Piauí is on fire, but soon it could change. The focus could move to another region, right? So there's all of that. And it's important for us to know all these facts so we can put things in context and inform you through live streams, through videos, and